Hi there, Tara Palaki here. So in today's video, I want to be sharing with you ways that you can start to connect and gently bring to the surface to then be able to release and let go some of these really big emotions that can feel, let's be honest, scary to start bringing up. And I know that when something feels very big and very powerful, like anger, there can be a lot of worry attached as to, if this comes up, how are you going to be able to cope? And especially if you've been to dark places before, and you know that these emotions are connected in with those experiences that were really, really challenging for you, then it can make this fear and this worry even more so, because you're worried that you might return back to where you were before. And that's understandable. I totally hear you with that, which is why I'm suggesting this particular technique, because it's a gentler way to start connecting in with some of these emotions without going head first into them, and just knowing that actually you're in control of this. And I would really like to reassure you that when you come into this, know that you're safe. You've done so much of the hard work from where you were. You really, really have. And that this is something that is within your control. If it feels like it gets a bit too much for you, just step back, step away from it until a day where perhaps you feel like you're in a better, more stable place, and then you can come back to this exercise. And also know that this is not a one-off thing to do. There's going to be so many layers to this. So I do suggest that you do this video and this exercise more than once, and know that you may need to do it 10 times, and that's okay. Do it as many times as you feel you need to. So what is this that I'm going to share with you? It's an exercise that involves writing a letter to those certain emotions. And that might seem a little bit far out for you, maybe a little bit woo-woo. Most of that is just because we're not really taught these ways to communicate with ourselves. Yet I was part of a workshop that Elizabeth Gilbert, the author of Eat, Love, Pray, did when she came over to the UK a couple of years ago. And in this workshop, she gets you to write to all these various different emotions and to all these different thoughts and feelings and ideas. And it's so powerful. So this is a practice I use, and I've got many of my clients to use, and they've all reported the same. Once you get over that initial, what? Actually, you start getting into it and it proves really insightful. And with the insights that come up, it raises a new level of awareness. And with that, then actually becomes very, very powerful. So to do this, I want you to set up a space where you're not going to be disturbed for at least 5-10 minutes. And you put your phone on silent, make sure that whoever's in the house knows not to disturb you. Get yourself comfy and cozy, blankets, favorite cup of tea. Grab a journal and a pen, and you may want to have a candle burning. And I would also suggest that you have your favorite essential oil with you. So that would be, for this, I would suggest that something like air would be particularly helpful, because it will help you to keep breathing. And sometimes when we can feel some of the surges of emotions, that can make us feel like start to clamp down, whereas air will keep you breathing wonderfully deep. And I know that that's a really beautiful and soothing oil for many. Or the other oil I'd suggest for this is frankincense. And I share that because frankincense is brilliant for grounding you, because it's a tree oil. So you've got the roots, you've got that grounding earth energy, perfect when you're doing some emotion work. But it's also an oil that helps you to connect in, and it's the oil of truth. So if you feel like perhaps you're a little unsure of what it is that you're feeling, or you're a little uncertain what's going to come up, or what to do with this, frankincense is a real oil of wisdom and can help guide you through some of this process, and as well as really helping you gain awareness. So those are either of those oils I would suggest would be helpful. Work with what feels good to you. Remember, dot on the palm of your hand, inhale, and then start this process. So take your journal, get comfy, take your journal, and write in your journal, dear, whatever the emotion may be. So I'm going to use anger as this particular example because that's something that's come up, I know comes up for a number of women, but it might be grief, it might be hurt, it might be sorrow, it might be angst, it might be, some of the other ones escape me. It might be sadness, it might be any of those sorts of things. Whatever you're feeling, you just begin to write the letter out to that particular thing. And if you're not entirely sure what it is, then just write dear emotions. So you write dear anger or dear emotions. And then this becomes really important. I hear you. I see you. I'm listening. And this becomes really, really important. And if you want, you can add another one to this, which is, and I value you. I hear you, I see you, I'm listening, I value you. And then go into, I'm aware that you're here and that you've got a message for me. I'm nervous. Maybe you want to express how you're feeling, nervous, worried, anxious about what this may be and how I may feel. But I'm ready to hear you. I'm listening. Please share your message with me. And then sign off the letter, love from whatever your name is. And then just pause, take a moment, and you're going to switch. You're going to now just imagine that you are that emotion. You don't have to go into this in too much depth because it will naturally show up, but you're going to write the letter back to you from the emotion. So this then becomes dear, whatever your name is. And then I want you to write whatever starts to come up and come into your mind. Do not discredit it. Do not argue with it. Do not get in that place where you're like, this isn't true. What's all of this? This is a load of rubbish. I just want you to write whatever comes up and just allow whatever you become aware of, whatever you hear, whatever you sense, whatever you know, whatever you see, just begin to write it down. So allowing that emotion to be able to communicate with you. And then at the end of that, sign off from that particular emotion. So love from anger or love from your emotions. And then just take a moment. Read back through it. Were there any surprises? Are there any surprises? You know, digest the information that's come up. And know that if there wasn't much that's come back, you may need to do this another couple of times. You know, this is all about flexing muscles. And for some of you, this may not be an overly familiar muscle. That's okay. But for others of you, you might find this a much easier process, and that's okay too. So spend a bit of time on that answer. And then to finish the process, you may even have some more questions. Ask those. If you're not clear on something, ask for clarity. But at the end, I want you to close off and thank that emotion for talking to you. Thank that emotion, give gratitude to that emotion for being able to show up and express what was going on for it today. And then sit with this. Like I say, you may want to go back and repeat the process. You may want to come back to it another day. You may want to do some further journaling on it. Go with whatever feels right for you. And maybe this is something you need to do again tomorrow and maybe the day after, and just build a little bit of flow with this, especially if you've had a lot of stuck emotions for a long period of time. It's going to take a little while for you to learn to trust them and to allow them to have a route of expression, because like many of us, we sever that and can push it down or push it away, these strong emotions, when they feel too big. And what we want is to encourage that channel to open up. So feel your way into this. And like always, I'm here. Any queries, you know where I am, and get in contact. Much love. Bye.